All right, so we are going to go over review 3, and I just want to show you that I have my completed unit circle up here that will come up here and draw on whenever we need it. So first thing is we're going to find one positive, one negative coterminal angle. That just means that we're going to add or subtract 360. So if I add 360, we will get 570. And if I subtract 360, we will end up with negative 150 for number 1. In number 2, we're going to do the same thing, but since it's already starting as negative, I'm going to start by adding 360. That is going to give me a 5 and a 0 and a negative 4. And then I'm going to do it again. I'm going to add another 360. That's going to give me a 5 and a 434. Negative 145. Did I do that right? Negative 45. Let's go with that instead. Okay, so there's my two negatives, and I'm going to do it one more time. So 360, that is a negative. Sorry, I'm going to add 360 to my negative 45, and we're going to get 315. So there is my positive, and I could use any of these for my negatives. I usually pick the ones closest to 0. Then we go into this one where we're going to be adding or subtracting 2 pi. And since we're in thirds, this is going to be 6 pi's. So if I subtract, I'm going to end up at negative 2 pi over 3. And if I add, I'm going to end up at 10 pi over 3. Same thing over here. We're going to add or subtract in halves, so this is going to be 4 pi. So if I take negative 5 plus 4, I'll get negative pi over 2. And then if I do the other way and I add another 4 to the negative 1, I end up with 3 pi over 2. So let's see what our next one is. Okay, so next one we're converting to degrees. So if we're converting to degrees, we're just going to be multiplying by the fraction that is 180 and a pi, and we're always going to try to line up the pi's so that they cancel, or the degrees signs so that they cancel. So here the pi signs will cancel, and we will end up with 9 goes into 180 20 times. So we'll end up with 2 times 20 degrees, which is 40 degrees. Then the next one here, again, we're going to have pi at the bottom, 180 at the top. The pi's will cancel. 4 goes into 180 45 times. So we are doing negative 3 times 45, which would be negative 135 degrees. Converting into radians, we just flip that fraction over. So flipping that fraction over, excuse me, we're going to do pi over 180. So that's going to have the degrees that cancel, divide by 10. We're at 25 over 18. 25 and 18 have nothing else in common, so that one is all set. Next one, we're going to multiply this one so that 180 degrees cancels with 36. Let's see, they're both made out of 9s, so that's going to be a negative 4 and a 20. And 4 goes into 25 times, so that's negative pi over 5. 4 goes into 25 times. Okay, in our next ones, they're going to ask us to draw a triangle and then find other trig functions. So let's see, in our first one, they told us that cosine is positive and tangent is positive. So what quadrant would I be at? I would be in quadrant 1. So I'm going to draw this triangle in quadrant 1. And it says A over H is 3 and 5. So A is down here. And I know this is a 3, 4, 5 triangle, or I'd use Pythagorean theorem to find the 4. So if they want us to find sine from here, that would be O over H, that's 4/5, And if they want cotangent from here, that would be A over O. That would be 3/4. Okay, next one, just like it. We are starting out with secant is negative and sine is negative. Now secant is the flip of cosine, so that's another way of saying cosine and sine are both negative. I am in quadrant 3 when I draw this one. So quadrant 3, I'm going to go to the left and then down. Okay, always connect your triangles to the x-axis. And if secant is the flip of cosine, then this is h and this is a. So 17 here, -8 here. And then what is our triple? I believe this is a 15. Again, if not, you're going to go and do Pythagorean theorem. And I made it negative because both x and y are negative in quadrant 3. Okay, they want me to find cosine. So cosine would be a over h. A over h would be -8 over 17. And let's see, and they wanted tangent. And tangent is going to be O over A, which is 8 over 15, since the two negatives will cancel each other out. All right, on to the next one. Now they just told us it's in quadrant 1. Woohoo! So we're going to just go ahead and draw a triangle in quadrant 1, always attached to the x-axis. Tangent is O over A, so opposite would be here. A would be here. This again is a 3, 4, 5 triangle. They want sine, which is O over H, which would be 4 over 5. They want cosine, which is A over H, which would be 3 over 5. They want cosecant. Cosecant is the flip of sine, so that's going to be H over O, or 5 over 4. Secant is the flip of cosine, so that's going to be h over a, which is going to be 5 over 3. Cotangent is the flip of tangent, so that's going to be a over o, which is 3 over 4. And then this one says go to the other angle. So if theta is down here, we are going to go and head up over here. So now I'm looking at where the pink person is, and we're going to do tangent from there instead. So O over A, but from where I'm at, opposite would be 3, and adjacent would be 4. Okay, into number 12. Again, we're in quadrant 1. That's great. So the first thing we're going to do is go draw a triangle in quadrant 1. Label the parts. This is A and H. So adjacent is 1. Hypotenuse is 3. This one is going to be 1 squared plus b squared equals 3 squared. So we have b squared equals 9 minus 1. So we have b is the square root of 8. That's going to be 2 rad 2, because 8 is made out of perfect square 4 and a 2. Okay, so there we have all of our stuff. So here we go again. When we're going with sine, we're doing O over H. So that would be 2 rad 2 over 3. Tangent is O over A. That's going to be 2 rad 2 over 1. Cosecant is the flip of sine, so that is H over O. And that's going to be 3 over 2 rad 2. And we're going to have to fix that because we're not allowed to have square roots. So that's going to be 3 rad 2 over 4. Secant is the flip of cosine, so that's H over A. H over A is 3 over 1. Cotangent is A over O. Adjacent is 1. Opposite is 2 rad 2. Again, we're going to have to fix at least the square root of 2. So that's going to give us square root of 2 over 4. Okay? And then here we go again we are now going to go over to be a stick figure over here where the blue part is, and then I'm going to do cosine from over there. So if I'm where the blue little stick figure is, then adjacent would be 2 rad 2, and hypotenuse would be 3. Okay, on to number 13. We are going to go and draw the point negative 6, 6. So think about how you would go draw that. You would start this way first, negative 6, then you'd go up 6, and then you'd return back to make your right triangle. Okay, if I set this up for Pythagorean theorem, I'm going to have 6 squared plus negative 6 squared equals c squared. That's going to give us c squared equals 36 plus 36 is 72. And c is the square root of 72, which is made out of 36 and a 2, so that's 6 rad 2. All right, and then here we go again with just answering questions based on this one. So cosine is a over h. That's negative 6 over 6 rad 2. We're going to fix the rad 2's, and we're going to get negative 6 rad 2 over 12. That's just going to reduce to negative rad 2 over 2. Next one is going to be O over h. That's going to be positive 6 over 6 rad 2. That's going to also simplify to just be radical 2 over 2. Tangent is O over A. O over A is going to be 6 over negative 6, which is negative 1. Cotangent is A over O, so that's going to be negative 6 over 6, also negative 1. Cosecant is the flip of sine, so that's going to be h over O, which is going to be 6 rad 2 over 6, which is just rad 2. And then secant is the flip of cosine, so h over A is going to be 6 rad 2 over negative 6 is going to be negative rad 2. All right, so now for the next ones, we're going to go and use our unit circle to kind of help us. So starting with sine of negative pi over 3. So that's going to be the y in my unit circle when I'm at negative pi over 3. Let's go find where negative pi over 3 would be. That would be right here, and the sine would be negative radical 3 over 2. Okay. Next one is cosine at 7 pi over 6. That's the x. Let's go look for 7 pi over 6. The x is also going to be negative radical 3 over 2. Next one is tangent. Tangent is going to be y over x or sine over cosine when I'm at pi over 2. Y over x is going to be 1 over 0, which is undefined. Okay, next one. Cosecant is going to be cosecant of 3 pi over 4 is going to be the flip of sine. So that's going to be 1 over y, or the flip of y. So let's go to 3 pi over 4. 3 pi over 4. And flip the y. That's going to be a rad 2 over 2 is going to get flipped. So rad 2 over 2 is going to get flipped. We're going to fix it with another set of rad 2's. We're going to get 2 rad 2 over 2, which is just going to turn into radical 2. Okay, next one. Secant of 2 pi over 3. Secant is the flip of cosine, so we're going to take x and flip it upside down. Let's go find 2 pi over 3x. 2 pi over 3x and flip it upside down. That's going to be a negative 1/2 flipped upside down is going to be negative 2. Okay, now we're doing a couple degrees here. Cotangent, remember, is going to be x over y at 315. So let's go find 315. That's right here. X over y. Those are going to be the same thing, it's just a positive over a negative, so that's going to be a negative 1. Okay, let's see, what else do we have? Tangent at negative 180. That's going to be y over x at negative 180. Y over x is going to be 0 over negative 1, which is 0. Okay, let me go and erase some of my unit circle markings, and then we'll come back and try the next few. So we're going to be doing negative 7 pi over 4. We got to figure out where that is. Let's go and erase some of these. Okay, so back to these. We are next looking at x over y, but it's at negative 7 pi over 4. So negative 7 pi over 4. So here is 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4, 5/4, 6/4, 7/4. So I'm right here using these. And we want x over y for cotangent. That's going to be the same over same. So that is going to be a positive 1. Okay, next one we're going to go to negative pi over 2 and just do the cosine when I'm there. So negative pi over 2 is right here, and the cosine is 0. So that's a 0. Next one, almost done. Cosecant at negative 270. Cosecant is the flip of sine, which is just taking the y and flipping it upside down. Negative 270. Negative 180 would have been here. Negative 270 would be here. So we have a 0 and a 1, and we want the y, which is a 1. So if we take a 1 and we flip it upside down, we still get 1. Okay, next one. Sine of 240. That's just the y when I'm at 240. 240. The y. Negative radical 3 over 2. Negative radical 3 over 2. Secant at 225. Secant is the flip of cosine, so we're going to go find x and flip it upside down, but it's negative 225. So again, negative 180, and then negative 225 would be right here. And we have a negative rad 2 over 2 and a positive rad 2 over 2. So this is the negative. And when we fix it, we're going to end up with negative 2 rad 2 over 2, which is going to be negative rad 2. Okay, next one. Cosine of negative 240. That is the x when we're at negative 240. Negative 240 would be right here. And the x would be negative 1/2. Okay. Sine of negative 45, let's go and erase some, and that's just going to be the y value at negative 45. So let's go and erase some of these again. Okay, the y value at negative 45 is going to be here, and that's going to be a negative rad 2 over 2. Okay, tangent is going to be y over x at 225. So going and finding 225, y over x, they are the same thing, both negative, so that's just going to turn into a 1. And that's it for just reading the unit circle. All right, on to the next ones. These are our final groupings. So these are the ones, again, they want the answers in radians. They want it just straight off the unit circle. So first thing we want to figure out is where is sine positive? Sine is positive in quadrants 1 and 2. So we're going to go to quadrant 1 and we're going to look where y equals, ooh, sorry, it says sine is negative. Let's do that again. First thing we're going to do is figure out where sine is negative. So that's going to be quadrants 3 and 4. So this sine is a y. So I'm going to go and look in quadrant 3 for this value, for the y value, and write down what the angle is. Y is radical 3 over 2. Y is radical 3 over 2. That's this one. So we're going to say 4 pi over 3. 4 pi over 3. And then when I go into quadrant 4, it's going to have the same denominator. It's going to have the same reference angle. I'm just going to be in quadrant 4. If I go into quadrant 4, that's going to be 5 pi over 3. So 5 pi over 3. Okay. Alrighty. Next one, cotangent. Cotangent is x over y, and we're looking for when is cotangent or tangent going to be negative. So all students take calculus. That's going to be 2 and 4. So I'm going to first go into quadrant 2, and I'm going to look for something that is alike for the x and the y. Quadrant 2, something that is alike for the x and the y. That's going to be 3 pi over 4. My second one is going to be in quadrant 4, and it's also going to have a 4 denominator. So that is going to be 7 pi over 4. Okay, next one looks like we're going to look for where cosine is negative. All students take calculus. Cosine is negative in 2 and 3. So we're going to go look for, let's go look in quadrant 2. When is x equal to negative radical 2 over 2? That's right here. That's at 3 pi over 4. That means when I go to quadrant 3, I am also looking at the one that's got a 4 denominator. That's going to be 5 pi over 4. Or I'm going to go look in quadrant 3 and look for the other one that has an x that's negative radical 2 over 2. All right, our next one, where is tangent positive? We are in quadrant 1 and 3. So tangent is y over x. So we're going to go look in quadrant 1 and figure out which one would turn into radical 3 over 3 if I did y over x. Y over x. This would not do it. This would give me radical 3 over 1, so it's got to be this one right here. So we're at pi over 6. That means when I go into quadrant 3, we're still at a 6, and then we'd be at 7 pi over 6. Okay? All right, let's go and erase some and we'll do some more. So we're at cosecant is a negative 2. Okay, so cosecant is the flip of sine. So they're saying, where is sine negative? So we are in quadrants 3 and 4, and we're looking for when you take y and you flip it, you get negative radical 2. Okay, so we're going to go into quadrant 3. We're going to look for a y that has a radical 2 in it. That would be that one, and we're going to go see if we flip that upside down, if we just get a radical 2. 2 over radical 2. And that was a negative, and if I multiply it by another just rad 2, I'll get 2 rad 2 over 2 negative, and the 2's will cancel. Okay, so that tells me that I'm at the right place and that we are at angle 5 pi over 4. The next one is also going to be a 4. That's going to be 7 pi over 4. All right, number 34. Secant is the flip of cosine. So they're saying if you flip cosine over, you will get a negative 2. You flip x over. So where is cosine negative? Cosine is negative in quadrants 2 and 3. Let's go look in quadrant 2 for something that would turn into negative 2 for cosine. That one right there. That is 2 pi over 3. And then the next one will also be in over 3, but will be in the third quadrant. That will be 4 pi over 3. Okay, next one. When is cosine negative 1? Oh, thank goodness, an easier one. Okay, all students take calculus. Cosine is negative in quadrant 4, and that would be the x. Okay, so we're looking for x equals, wait, please hold. Cosine is negative in quadrants 2 and 3, and we're going to go look in quadrants 2 and 3 for x to equal negative 1. Okay, now I'm in quadrants 2 and 3, that's all of the section here, and I don't see any of these that have an x equals, right there, negative 1. So this is going to be an answer of pi, and it's the only one that has x going to the left. So this one is only pi because it's on the x-axis. All right, on to the next one. When is y or sine positive? That's going to be in 1 and 2. And we're looking for when is y equal to 1/2. Let's go look in quadrant 1 for a y equals 1/2. So those are pi over 6's. So in quadrant 1 it's pi over 6. In quadrant 2 it would be 5 pi over 6. Again, both angles that have 6's in the denominator. Okay? All right, here's another weird one. We've got sine equals to -1. Sine is negative. In quadrants 3 and 4, we want where y equals -1. So 3 and 4 is right here. And we're looking for y to equal -1. That's right here. So that's 3 pi over 2. There's only one of them. Okay, and our super duper hardest one of the bunch, if tangent is undefined, it is because when we did y over x, we got a 0 on the bottom. So we are looking for the places where x is 0, anywhere where x is 0, because I can't do all students take calculus to find positive or negative. So I'm just going to go look around those 4 points. I'm looking here, 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 and here. Any place that has an x that is 0 is what I want. This does not have an x of 0. This one does, so pi over 2. This does not have an x of 0. This one does. So pi over 2 and 3 pi over 2. And that's it. I hope that helped.